Welcome back, Pittsburgh CW. Bob Pompeani and Gene Collier. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call brought to you by Ireland Contracting, Pittsburgh's #1 home exterior experts in roofing, siding, windows, and gutters. We have a tweet in already from Golf Jerk who says the season is over, the window is closed. The interesting thing about the Pirates here moving forward is, again, I don't know who even on this team should take the place of an all-star. To me, if I'm asking, it's got to be Cervelli. I don't know who else, Gene. That's going to, everybody has representation. By the way, do you like that? Because I don't. I don't think if you have a legitimate all-star, you should be represented unless you're the host team.
I used to like absolutely nothing about the All-Star game, but now that it no longer determines home field advantage in the World Series, I like that about it. But that's as far as I'll go.
So, of the Pirates, who would be your all-star rep?
There are no all-stars on the Pirates.
Yeah, but they have somebody, so it has to be Cervelli?
I suppose. For a while I thought Dickerson was the best player on the team, but
he's really been bad lately.
Yeah.
Or at least not as productive.
Right.
All right, we'll see. So the Pirates and the Philadelphia Phillies coming up tomorrow. The Reds and the Cubs will go at it. The Reds are, 16-6 in their last 22. They got a really good hitting lineup. If not for a terrible start, yeah. Who is it? Lorenzen, Mike Lorenzen has 3 straight home runs, won a grand slam. So your pitchers can hit it. That's another thing that's pet peeve of mine. Most of these guys are in the majors right now, were good hitters in high school and college.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they forget to even, if you're in a National League, why not try to be a good hitter to try to help your own cause? And the proof is there with Madison Bumgarner and now Michael Lorenzen. I mean, if you can help yourself, why not?
Yeah.
Swing the rake a little bit.
Help the team. Don't forget, help the team.
Yeah. Let's go to Dave in New Strictly. Hey, Dave, how you doing?
Hey, good, Bob. How about yourself?
Good. What's up?
Hey, man, I love talking to you. The only chance, Bob, I see it, and I don't know why anybody else can't see this, is you got to do what you got to do, man. Get Marte. I love the guy, but you could get a good, outstanding starting pitcher for him right now.
No, you can't.
Make this team happy. They could bring Frazier back.
Who are you talking when you say good, outstanding starting pitching? Who would you have in mind? Because
trade.
That would be hard to
I don't know. Trade. Put him up there. Put him up on the trade
block. How about if
block,
nobody gives you what you want?
Well, then you go back to the basics, man, and you just keep them.
Okay. Gene?
Well, that's what you'll end up doing because nobody's going to give you an outstanding starting pitching for Starling Marte. He can barely play in this lineup, let alone somebody else's.
Yeah, he's been in a wicked slump, if you haven't noticed, and he got a couple of hits the other night, which should help him hopefully moving forward because they need his bat. But, man, I think he bat 184 in the month of June, and you can't have your meat-of-the-order guys hitting 184 for a whole month. And Polanco was in another, now he's broken out of it a little bit. The last 56 at-bats have been better. Base running still needs to get better in defense, but other than that, let's go to Harry in Westview. Hey, Harry, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing? I think I should select a 100-year-old Usher as the All-Star.
Oh, yeah.
Phil Coyne.
That guy. Yeah, heck yeah. And here's
Definitely
what I think about hockey. I'm sick about talking about hockey, but I do have a question for you. How does this salary cap thing work? I mean, they always talk about like they're going to raise the salary cap every year.
They do.
And the Penguins are trying to fit into that part of it. And I just don't get how it works. Like it's different in football with the bonuses and everything. Can you explain it to me?
It's guaranteed money, but it's pretty simple. There is a floor, there is a ceiling, and the Penguins always try to go to the ceiling and try to spend as much as they can, and it is going up by $5 million this year, Gene. Something $5 to $7 million.
It usually goes up like that. It's a mathematical formula. That's what determines it. I don't know it, and I'm not finding out.
All right, let's go out to Matt in Butler. Hello, Matt. How you doing?
Hey, gentlemen. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, the Pirates, the road trip, of course, Gene, you said it started out okay, finished horrible, and they're in a position where I don't think they can come back. I think there's no chance of them competing for anything this year. There's no chance that they're going to try to improve the team because
not at the trade
there's
deadline.
Just way too many.
I don't know how you would do that.
There's way too many holes.
Right.
Cervelli's probably the only one that deserves to be on the All-Star team. And the rest of the team, I agree with you, everybody should and could be up for trade bait. But this commentary that you had about the ownership the other night, if you send fans if fans show up, we'll invest in the team, I think that's nothing but BS. Yeah. I'll never believe that from this ownership.
All right, thank you. A lot of people agree with that sentiment, Gene. I mean, to me, that's just a statement that doesn't make sense.
Well, 2.5 million showed up in 2015, 2014. What happened? Nothing.
Nothing. They didn't add to the payroll at that point.
No, I don't want to hear that.
See, I look back, and again, I was really trying to push for Jay Happ at the time. You'll remember when he was.
Yeah.
And you know, it was $13 million a year. I think that's fair market. I think that's doable. They chose to look the other way. Now, I don't know what their reasoning was, other than money may have scared them off. But he ends up being a 21-game winner. Last year, not so good, but this year, one of the best pitchers in the American League.
Yeah. Now, what the Pirates
use
do
it
is,
better like
I mean, it's not true to say that the Pirates never add anybody at the deadline. You know, they have added a number of players at the deadline over the years, but as soon as the player gets really expensive, then of course he's gone.
And they went after Marlon Byrd, who at the time was, I thought, the biggest name available to them, and they got him. So at that point, they did Justin Morneau, who was one of the better hitters at the time. But there's been not enough of that. And also, let's talk about trading assets before they become failures, okay? When you have prospects, and they are prospects and they look good on paper, if another team calls you and says, hey, we want that prospect because he's rated number 6 in your organization, number 2 in their organization, the Pirates tend to not want to engage those people and talk. Maybe they should more of, because most of these guys come up and do not achieve their, or at least their production doesn't equal their.
It's exactly the case with Tyler Glass now. I mean,
or even Jamison Tyone.
People were interested in him, and you know, at critical points, but the Pirates would not part with him.
Yeah, looking back, maybe they should have. Let's go to Brad in Duncansville. Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Good, Bob. Hi, Gene. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I have a Penguin question and a Pirate question for you.
Go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Brad.
My Penguin question is, if they would re-sign Alessiak, do you think Rutherford is done dealing, like signing in free agency, or do you think they'll go out and find another winger somewhere? And my Pirate question is, what other starting pitchers is out there that's decent for the Pirates to pick up?
Oh.
No.
I mean, there are a lot of pitchers who may be available at the deadline, but again, most of those pitchers are going to be quality pitchers who would help another team. Therefore, you're going to have to give up a lot to get those people. And you have to make the determination as an organization, right, Gene, that we're not in a position, 11.5 in 4th place, but you're not going to win the division. Can we be upfront about that? Wild card, you have like 6 teams just to get to the second wild card to overcome.
Sure, that's right. But I will remind people that you know, at this stage last year, we were saying these very things. The season is over. You know, let's start plotting about who to get rid of, who to keep, and then toward the end of July, the Pirates swept the Brewers at home and moved within a couple of games of first place. And they should have been buyers at the deadline. They were not, and wound up where they are. But I don't want to get ahead of myself on the Pirates. It looks bad for them, but I don't think it's over yet necessarily.
Oh, let's go to Mike in Bethel Park. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Yeah, hey, good, guys. I wanted to make 2 points if I could. Regarding the All-Star game, I quit watching the All-Star game when Bud Selig, I don't know what year it was, 2003 or 4, put more precedent over one game to have home field advantage over a whole season. I thought was ridiculous, and I have watched an inning or two the last 4 or 5 years just out of curiosity. In the flamethrowers that both sides have overpower the batters, it's actually gotten boring. I think that the batters can't handle these pitchers.
I'm not a fan of any of these All-Star games, to be honest. Most of them, Gene, result in just half efforts. Nobody wants to touch it.
Yeah, I mean, these are really, you know, jury affairs. But, you know, the baseball All-Star time at one point was very, very interesting because there were the competing teams never faced each other. You never saw the players play against those players because there was no interleague play. So, you know, after interleague play, I thought it really lost a lot of its interest.
Big night coming up next Friday, and you want to go down to the South Side. Gene, tell us about the comedy show. You and Jimmy Krenn, you're opening up for Jimmy, one of the funniest guys I know. Where is it?
The one and only the one and only Jimmy Krenn. I've appeared with him many times, and it's always a great night. He's so good. So reliable, so beloved by the Pittsburgh comedy community. So it's an honor to be with him this next Friday night at the Stage at Karma, which is on the Carson Street. Doors at 7, show at 8. Tickets at thestageatkarma.com.
Stageatkarma.com. Jim Krenn, preceded by Gene Collier, a very funny man. You should check him out next Friday night, The Stage at Karma. We'll be back with more right here on Pittsburgh CW.